I still remember the first time I saw the fruit seller. Her stall was by the big mango tree near the village market square. It was the rainy season, and the ground was always wet, but that didn't stop people from rushing to her stall. Her fruits were always fresh, too fresh. The oranges were bright like fire, the bananas had no black spots, and the pineapples smelled like sugar. Nobody in the village had fruits like that. Her name was Mama Efe. She never talked too much, just sat on her small stool and watched people with eyes that didn't blink enough. Some said she came from Ikuda, the cursed village far away. But people love sweet things, and once you tasted her fruit, you always came back. One evening, I followed my friend Tulu to the market. She had been eating Mama Efe's mangoes every day, and I didn't like it. She was changing. Her eyes looked sleepy, her skin got pale, and she stopped talking like before Tulu. I asked her, "Why do you keep eating from her?" She looked at me and said, "I don't know. I just feel like I need it. If I don't eat it, my body shakes." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Tulu and Mama Efe. I knew something was wrong. So, the next day, I decided to watch Mama Efe closely. I hid behind the cassava stall beside her. She sat as usual, smiling softly, her fruits glowing like they had light inside them. But then I saw something strange. She reached under her table and brought out a black pot. It had red cloth tied around it. She poured water inside and whispered things I couldn't understand. Then, one by one, she dropped fruits inside the pot. A mist came out, and the fruits started shining. I covered my mouth in fear. At night, I went to Tulu's house. She was shivering in bed. Her mother was crying, saying she had refused food for 2 days, only asking for Mama Efe's mangoes. I knew I had to do something early in the morning. Before the market opened, I went back to the mango tree. Mama Efe wasn't there yet. I checked under the table. The black pot was there, hidden in a basket. I touched it, and it was hot, burning hot like fire, even though the morning was cold. I opened it, and what I saw made my knees shake. Inside the pot were tiny fingers, human fingers, small like those of babies, floating in red water. Some looked fresh, some looked dry like sticks. I wanted to scream, but something told me to run. I ran straight to the house of the village priest, Papa Cure. He was the only one who knew about old things and dark powers. I told him everything. He didn't say a word. He stood up, wore his white robe, picked up a black Bible and a calabash with white chalk, and followed me. When we reached the market, Mama Efe was already sitting there, smiling at people. Papa Cure stepped forward and threw the chalk powder on the ground. Smoke came out. People stopped. The air became heavy. "Mama Efe," he said, "we know who you are." Her smile slowly disappeared. "Leave this place now, or we will burn the pot and bind you." People looked confused. She stood up slowly, eyes dark, voice shaking. "You can't touch me," she said. "These people love me. They eat from me. I live in them now." Then the sky turned gray. The wind rose. The fruits on her table rolled off and burst open, each one full of worms. Big, fat, white worms crawling and twisting. People screamed. She tried to run, but Papa Cure threw something at her. It looked like ashes. She fell to the ground, screaming like an animal. Her skin started to peel. Not like burning, no. It was like something was shedding off her, like a snake. Then she disappeared. Just like that. But that wasn't the end. We thought she was gone. The village cleaned her stall. Papa Cure burned the pot and poured oil and fire on the ground. Tulu started eating normal food again. She smiled more, and her skin got better. Everyone thought it was over. But one day, I saw a little boy standing under the mango tree. He was eating a red apple, smiling. I didn't think anything of it until he dropped the apple core on the ground and walked away. Where the apple fell, the ground turned black. Nothing grew there again. Then, 2 days later, 3 children fell sick. They kept saying, "The fruit lady is coming. She's in the wind." I didn't sleep that night. I sat by my window and waited. And then I heard the sound. It was like someone dragging a basket, slowly, across the ground. Then I smelled it, the sweet smell of mangoes, mixed with blood. She was back. And this time, she wasn't selling fruits. She was coming to collect. I didn't know when I started shaking. I just sat there, eyes fixed on the path outside my window. The sound of the basket dragging got louder, and louder. Then it stopped. Dead silence. I peeked outside. No one. Just the wind and the trees swaying like they were afraid. But the smell was strong. Mangoes, oranges, and blood. I knew that smell now. I would never forget it. The next morning, the village woke up to crying. 3 children had gone missing. Their mothers ran around, barefoot and wild with grief. One of the boys was the same child I saw with the red apple. The others were his cousins. People started to whisper again, "Mama Efe is back." But this time, she wasn't selling. She was taking. Papa Q called a village meeting under the big tree. Everyone came. Faces were pale, eyes wide. He stood up and said in a voice I had never heard from him before, "She didn't die. She only changed." Someone asked, "Who is she?" Really, he looked at the ground. "She is not human. She is a spirit, an eater of children. Long ago, she was chased from Ikuda after a child went missing every market day. She feeds on their sweetness, their joy, their soul. But we saw her disappear." Someone shouted yes. Papa Q said, "But as long as someone eats her fruit, she has a door to return." Everyone turned to look at Tulu. She looked down in shame. "I only ate it once. Last week," she said. "I thought it was over." It wasn't. That same night, we heard the sound again. The dragging. This time, it came from different places. Behind the houses, near the stream, even inside the forest. She was walking freely. Papa Q came to my house. He gave me a black string with a bone tied to it. "Wear this," he said. "You saw her first. You are connected. She will come for you." I almost cried. "Why me?" "Because you broke her secret. And now she's hunting you." That night, I locked every window. I tied the string around my neck. My mother knelt and prayed loudly, shaking with fear. My little brother was asleep. But I knew he wasn't safe. I stayed awake, eyes on the door. Around midnight, it happened. A knock. Just one. Slow and soft. I didn't answer. I held my breath. Then I heard her voice. Soft. Sweet. Like sugar water. "My child, don't be afraid. I brought you a gift." I shut my eyes. "I have mangoes. The ones you like. You remember, don't you?" She started to hum. It was a lullaby. The kind our mothers sang to us when we were babies. But it wasn't warm. It was cold. I could feel it in my chest. My mother stood up and shouted, "Go away. In the name of the ancients, leave my house." The voice stopped. Then came a loud scream, from behind the house. Then another from the neighbor's compound. She was everywhere by morning. 5 more people were gone. 2 children, 1 woman, and 2 men who tried to follow her footsteps into the bush. They never came back. Papa Q told us the truth. "There's only one way to stop her," he said. "You must go to where she first came into this world. Ikuda. But that village is cursed." I said yes, he replied. "But that's where her root is. If you don't go, she will keep coming back, taking more, until we are all gone. So now, I am writing this before I leave. Yes, I'm going. Me, Tulu, and Papa Q. We are going to Ikuda. We are going to the place where the evil fruit seller first tasted blood. And if we don't come back, please, never eat a fruit that smells too sweet. Never trust the smile of someone who never blinks." And if you hear the sound of a basket dragging outside your door, hide. Because Mama Efe is still hungry. We left at dawn. The path to Ikuda was overgrown, and the trees hung low like they were trying to pull us back. Nobody had gone that way in years. Birds didn't sing. No breeze. Just silence and the sound of our feet crushing dry leaves. Tulu didn't talk the whole time. She held a calabash Papa Q gave her. It had ash and bones inside. He said it was for protection. I carried a small bag with water, food, and a gourd of red oil. Papa Q led the way, walking slowly but with fire in his eyes. After many hours, we reached a wide river. No bridge. The water was black. Not dark. Black. Like oil. This is the river of return, Papa Q said. Once we cross, we can't come back until it's over. He stepped into the water. It didn't move. Like it was waiting. Tulu and I followed. I held her hand tightly. The water was cold. So cold it felt like it was biting my skin. But we made it across. On the other side was Ikuda. It didn't look like a village. No roofs. No people. Just broken huts, burnt trees, and sand. The ground was dry, but the air smelled rotten, like dead things that had been hiding for too long. She was born here, Papa Q said. Her real name is Efenma. She was once a child like you, but her mother was a witch. She fed her bones of animals. She washed her with blood. When Efenma turned 10, her eyes turned black, and her mother died in her sleep. He pointed at a big broken house. That's where they lived. We walked slowly. Inside, the floor was covered in old cloth, ashes, and broken calabashes. On one wall was a drawing made with charcoal. It showed a woman feeding a small girl with fruit. But the fruit was dripping something thick and red. She was trained to feed and feed until her heart turned cold, Papa Q said. Suddenly, the air changed. We heard something move behind us. Tulu turned around. And there she was. Mama Efe. Standing in the doorway. She looked different. Her eyes were gone, just 2 holes. Her hair was long and wet, hanging to her waist. Her body was thin like sticks. But her stomach was big, round, and moving like something was crawling inside. You came all the way to see me, she said. Her voice was soft. But behind it, there were other voices, crying, laughing, screaming. Tulu stepped back, shaking. Papa Q stood firm and raised his chalk. Efenma, this is your end, she laughed. You can't end what you don't understand. Then the walls started moving. Faces came out of the wood. Children's faces. Eyes open. Mouths wide. They were whispering my name. Chuka, Chuka, I screamed. I couldn't help it. Papa Q threw the ash from his pouch. It hit her stomach, and she cried out like a wild beast. Her skin began to crack. Tulu opened the calabash. Smoke rose. She began to speak words Papa Q taught her the night before. Words from the old tongue. Words that were never meant to be spoken by clean lips. Mama Efe screamed louder. She ran at us. But before she could reach, Papa Q shouted. Now I threw the red oil at her. It burned. Her body started melting, like wax in fire. The screams filled the whole village. Then everything went quiet. The hut collapsed. The faces disappeared. And the air became clean again. We stood there, breathing hard. She's gone, I whispered. Papa Q shook his head. No, she's not. We weakened her. But she's still not dead. Her spirit is strong. She'll try to come back. We walked back to the river. When we crossed it, I looked back. The sky over Ikuda had turned blue. But in the middle of the old path, was a single mango. Fresh, bright, shining, like it had just been picked. We didn't touch the mango. No one said a word. Papa Q bent down, drew a sign around it with white chalk, and whispered, if anyone eats this, she'll come again. Then he covered it with a black cloth and placed a stone on top. We walked away. Back home, the village welcomed us like heroes. Drums beat, Old women danced, and people brought yam, soup, and palm wine. But we didn't smile. We were too tired, too scared. Something still didn't feel right. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, I was in the forest. It was dark, but I could see something moving in the shadows. A voice called me Chuka. Chuka. I turned. It was Tulu. Her eyes were black. Her tongue was long like a rope, and she was eating a red apple with blood dripping from her mouth. I woke up sweating. I ran to her house. She was sitting outside, shaking. I saw her, she said before I could speak. She was inside my dream. She was smiling. I called Papa Cure. He checked her eyes, her palms, her tongue. He poured white powder on her head. The powder turned black. She touched you, he said. Not your body. Your spirit. Tulu began to cry. What does that mean? She marked you. You're now a door. If she finds a way back, it'll be through you. We were silent. The next morning, we went to the shrine behind the village. It was old and cracked, but still powerful. Papa Cure placed 7 cowries on the ground and asked the gods a question. The cowries rolled. He stared at them. Then he stood up slowly. She is trying to return, he said. But not as herself. We didn't understand. He looked at Tulu. She's planting herself inside someone else. I felt sick. Who? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to me. Go to the market. Check the stalls. See if any fruit looks too perfect. I did as he said. The market looked normal. Old women selling yam, groundnuts, vegetables. But then I saw her. A small girl, no older than 10, sitting alone behind a stall. Her fruits were perfect. Bananas with golden skin. Pineapples glowing like light bulbs. Mangoes soft and round. Just like Mama Efe's. No one was buying yet. I went closer. Who owns this stall? I asked. She smiled. It's mine. Her voice was soft, sweet. I froze. Where are your parents? She looked to the side. They're gone. I'm just here to help people eat. I walked backward slowly. Ran straight to Papa Cure. He came with me. We stood before the girl. She looked at him and smiled wider. You came back, she said. Papa Cure's face turned white. She's using a child, he whispered. A clean soul. She's inside this one now. If anyone eats her fruit. He didn't finish. Too late. A man had already bitten into one of her oranges. He smiled, nodded, and walked away. And from that moment, I knew. She had started again. But this time, we wouldn't be fighting a spirit. We'd be fighting something worse. A child who didn't even know she was carrying death that night. The man who ate the orange died. His wife said he screamed in his sleep. When she woke up, he was stiff, eyes wide open, mouth full of blood. His hands were clenched like he was holding something that burned. Everyone gathered at his compound. People started whispering again. Another fruit. Is she back? The small girl from the market didn't come out that day. Her stall was still there, fruit untouched, glowing under the sun. But she was gone. Papa Cure called me and Tulu. We sat under the big tree. She's learning, he said. She knows we're watching. So she's hiding. Changing. Tulu was quiet. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. I saw her in the mirror. What? I asked. In my room. This morning. I was brushing my hair, and in the mirror, I saw the girl from the market standing behind me. But when I turned, no one was there. Papa Cure stood up fast. She's crossing between the spirit world and ours. Using reflections. Glass. Water. Anything that shows an image. He reached into his bag, pulled out black cloth, and gave it to us. Cover all your mirrors. All glass. If you see her there again, she can enter your body. Tulu covered hers. I did the same. But that night, something strange happened. I was sleeping when I heard a knock. Not on the door. On the mirror. Knock. 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 I sat up slowly. The mirror was moving. Something was pushing from inside. like fingers pressing through glass. I screamed for my mother. She rushed in with a lantern. But by the time she came, the mirror was normal again. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, Papa Q came with a big bag. We have to find the girl, he said. Before she moves again. We searched the village, hut by hut. Then we found her. Not in a house. In the forest. She was sitting alone, under a big tree. She looked sad. Papa Q stepped forward. What's your name, child? She looked up. Amara. Her voice was shaking. Do you know what's inside you? He asked. She started crying. She talks to me in my sleep. She tells me things. Scary things. Did she tell you to sell fruits? She nodded. She said it would help people. That if they ate, they'd feel happy. But they didn't. They screamed. Papa Q knelt beside her. Amara, do you want her to leave? She nodded again. Then something strange happened. She opened her mouth. And we saw it. A small black worm. Moving. Alive. It curled and went back down her throat. I almost threw up. She's using the girl's body as a home, Papa Q said. But her true self is still hiding. Somewhere close. Suddenly, Amara stood up. Her voice changed. Low. Deep. Not a child's voice. Why are you chasing me? She asked. I only feed. I only give. I never take what's not offered. We stepped back. Tulu whispered, it's her. She's awake. Amara's eyes turned black. She smiled slowly. Let me stay, she said. This body is warm. It laughs. It cries. I like it here. No, Papa Q said. You were never meant to live in light. He raised a small clay pot. It had 7 red strings tied around it. I bind you in the name of the old earth and the deep waters. The pot shook. The ground trembled. Amara screamed. The sound wasn't human. Birds flew out of the trees. Wind roared. Dust rose like a storm. Then, silence. Amara fell to the ground. Still. We rushed to her. She opened her eyes. They were normal. She looked at us and whispered, she's gone. But Papa Q shook his head. No, he said. She's only looking for someone else. And right then, we heard laughter. Not near us. From the village. The fruit stall was gone. But another one had appeared. Bigger. Brighter. And this time, there were 2 girls behind it. Smiling we ran. Through the bushes. Through the village path. Past crying birds and whispering trees. Our hearts were beating fast. 2 girls now. 2. Not 1. The evil was spreading. Papa Q didn't say a word as we reached the market square. His eyes locked on the new fruit stall. It was brighter than the sun. Every fruit looked like it came from a dream. Bananas, oranges, mangoes. Too perfect. Too sweet. Behind the stall stood the 2 girls. Both had the same black eyes. Both had the same smile. And both were offering free fruit to a small group of children. One child had already taken a bite. Papa Q shouted, stop! Everyone turned. The girls smiled wider. One of them stepped forward and said in that strange voice, why do you hate fruit, Papa Q? Why do you fear sweetness? He reached into his bag. But this time, nothing worked. His chalk broke. His clay pot cracked. His chance stopped halfway. His voice disappeared. The girls laughed. Their laughter echoed in the air like it was bouncing off invisible walls. Then something terrifying happened. The fruit stall lifted from the ground. Yes, it floated. Slowly. Roots grew from underneath. Real roots. Like a tree was growing from the table. And the roots were wriggling, stretching, reaching toward people's feet. Everyone screamed and ran. But the roots were fast. They grabbed the children first. Pulled them toward the stall. Tulu screamed and grabbed a child's hand. I grabbed her other arm. We all pulled and pulled. The stall laughed. The ground shook. And then, Papa Q did something strange. He ran straight into the roots. Straight to the girls. He pulled out a knife and stabbed his own palm. His blood sprayed across the stall by the sacrifice of the old ones. I end your feeding, he cried. The girls stopped laughing. They began to scream. Not like humans. Like animals burning. Their bodies cracked. Smoke poured from their mouths. The fruit caught fire. The stall broke apart. The roots melted into the soil. And then, silence. Dust settled. The air cleared. The girls were gone. Burnt shadows remained where they had stood. Papa Q collapsed. We rushed to him. He was breathing, but weak. Very weak. He looked up at us. Eyes red. I gave my blood. To lock her spirit for now. Tulu cried. I cried. The children were safe. The market was safe. The village was safe. But as we walked Papa Q back to his shrine, he said something I'll never forget. She feeds on hunger, on pain, on forgotten things. As long as there are broken hearts, she will always try to come back. We believed him. And so we built a wall around the market. We never allowed fruit sellers inside again. If anyone wanted to buy fruit, they had to go outside the gates. And even then, we always checked their eyes. Even now, years later, whenever I see a mango that looks too perfect, I walk away. Because I still remember the taste of her voice. And the sound of children screaming. She was evil. She fed the village once. And she can do it again. All it takes is one bite. The end.